Good afternoon. The Committee on General Government Operations and Appropriations now called to order. Today is Tuesday, May 16, 2023, and the time now is 2 o'clock. In compliance with the Open Government Law, the notice for this public hearing were posted on the Governor of Guam Public Notices Portal, KGTF PBS, Channel 12, and disseminated via email to all senators and all main media broadcasting outlets on Wednesday, May 3rd, and on May 11th. The agenda this afternoon at this time will be the budget on the Office of Public Accountability. This is in reference to Bill 26-37 COR, Committee on Rules, by request of I Magaʹhågan Guåhan, the Governor of Guam, in accordance with the Organic Act of Guam, an act making appropriation for the operation of the executive branch of the Government of Guam for fiscal year ending September 30th, 2024, making other appropriations, establishing miscellaneous and administrative provisions. At this time, I ask the members of the Office of Public Accountability to please rise and be placed under oath by the Sergeant at Arms.
Under penalty of perjury, you all affirm that any and all information you provide today, whether it be verbally, electronically, and in writing, be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Mr. Chair, under oath. Thank you.
Thank you, Sergeant at Arms. The general rules for this budget hearing is please provide my legislative staff with any document for photocopying and distribution. Panel members are asked to remain in the room for questions or for additional testimony as may be desired by the committee. Questions and testimony shall be confined to the substance or nature of the agenda. Personal inference as to the character or the motive of any senator or any individuals testifying is not permitted. Any violation of this general rule of conduct will result in removal from the budget hearing. I ask my colleagues, please be nice to the panel. Proper form and decorum shall be practiced by all present in the public hearing room for these proceedings. Individuals who fail to maintain proper form and decorum will be restricted from participating and will be escorted and removed from the room. That's just my gesture of asking everybody to be nice. When you speak, please make sure that the microphone is on and that you speak into the microphone. All right, Mr. Duenas? Please state your name and your title for the record. I'd like to acknowledge my colleagues that have joined me this afternoon. We have the Oversight Chair of the Office of Public Accountability, Senator Roy Canata, and Senator Joanne Brown. I'd ask the Speaker here, Speaker Cruz, if you want to give any opening in reference to your budget. Sir.
Thank you very much. I think I'll just read into the record our letter that we sent as a cover to our budget presentation. The Office of Public Accountability is pleased to present our fiscal year FY 2024 budget request of $1,987,100, which includes $1.47 million to fund our current staff complement of 15. This budget request also includes $521,000 to fund rent and other contractual obligations. Inclusive of funding for procurement appeals, hearing officers, website, audit software, license and maintenance, and other utilities. The $1.9 million request is 1.275 of the $794,840,439 presented in the executive budget as total general fund revenues and was previously authorized in the FY 2023 budget, Act for Public Law 36-107. OPA budget trends for the past, yes.
Speaker Cruz, we need to reset because the mics are still live on us. So if you give it 2 minutes, they'll reset the system, sir. And then again, you're only asking for exactly what we put on the budget. So I think you're actually pretty good. And if everybody will agree, we'll just move on this. But we'll give it a couple minute recess so they can reset. Thank you, sir. The Committee on General Operation and Appropriation will now continue. Speaker Cruz, if you can please start all over, and then we can cover all the bases. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, I'm Benjamin Cruz, the public auditor, and with me is Vincent Dueñas, my supervising accountability auditor. The Office of Public Accountability is pleased to present our fiscal year 2024 budget request of $1,987,100, which includes 101. Can I just submit it as written? And you can answer the question, you can ask us questions now.
I think everyone here has, my colleagues has a copy of the letter. Unless they, because you're only asking exactly what we're placing on the budget.
Correct.
And are you happy with what we placed? You have a copy of the budget.
Very happy. Thank you very much. And thank the sponsor for our .25.
All right, and I'll go ahead and add the oversight chair, and then Senator Brown will speak, because it was her bill last term that we were able to pass, and so far we're putting it to paper today.
Please.
All right, Senator Canante, if you have any questions for the panel?
You guys are definitely one of my favorite oversights. Don't tell any of the other oversights. But, Speaker, I know you know the numbers, you know how to keep your house in order. So with that being said, Vince, you know my office is always open to you guys. If there's anything we need to discuss or need to fix, you know where to find me. I'm just your neighbor upstairs. So, consigue mo na, carry on with your duties, find all the missing money, and let us know who we need to hunt. Thank you. Have a good day. God bless.
Thank you, Senator Canante. Senator
Thank you
Brown,
very
do you have
much,
any
Mr.
questions?
Chairman.
Senator Brown?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and we're certainly pleased, with the work that our public auditor and his office is conducting and implementing in the Governor of Guam. We certainly want to continue to see the good work. I hope, how are things, if I can ask, you have so many titles. I mean, you've touched every branch of government, but if I can ask our public auditor, how have things been with regards to the retention of your staff? I know that was a concern last year, and having as many qualified seasoned auditors in your office, obviously, is going to be, the route to your continued success. So how is your retention so far?
It's excellent now. Now that I thank the legislature for last year in the budget enacting the leading edge study. That was a good start, and then the GPP increase that we were included in to make sure that we weren't left behind makes it very attractive. We just recently hired a accountability auditor 3, one of the a very senior position. I think it was just last month, February, and she's working out very well. I have an announcement out for accountability auditor 3, 2, and 1. I have my fingers crossed that if we can get it through DOA.
Yes, therein lies the challenge, yeah.
That we hope to be able to pick up another accountability auditor 3, and then also pick up an additional 2, and maybe one or 2 more ones. So we'll be full, we can fill up all the office space that we have with our auditors. We have a million things that we'd like to be doing, and if we had the personnel to do it. And with the salary increases you provided us, and with the GPP, where it looks good. And we are getting applications now as opposed to announcements that go out and nobody responds.
How about with regards to your ability to hire an attorney to assist you in your work beyond? Because, of course, it's very important, all the findings you're having in your audits, but, Is that something you're able to work with the Attorney General so that you can get that legal assistance, and also the Attorney General with regards to taking the information, if there's any misdoing or misdeeds that are happening, that there's that conduit to facilitate legal review of any of those things in terms of your findings?
Since I started at the office, we also have an attorney on retainer. Well, actually, we have two. We did an RFP, and we selected two attorneys to serve as hearing officers in the event that for some reason, I am conflicted, which has happened. And so they're on retainer, and they do provide us with guidance. They also represent us in court in all the appeals that have gone up. I've met with the Attorney General a couple of times. He has not mentioned that there's any issue with the two attorneys that I have as my counselors. We are not going to be doing any prosecution. That is. No,
I understand. I think that's why we were looking at if there was someone you could work with through the Attorney General's office, if through your findings you determined there was a need for further investigation, that could be referred to that Assistant Attorney General.
They have assigned, the Attorney General has assigned an attorney in his...
To work with your office, okay.
In his white-collar crime division.
Okay.
That has met with us on a couple of our audits and our findings.
Okay.
And is doing the investigations.
Okay, well, I'm glad to hear that. I think that, I understand certainly what your role is and where your boundaries are of what you're going to do, but we just also want to make sure at the other end that the Attorney General's office, obviously, if you determine through your audits that there's misdeeds going on, that there's a vehicle for that to be appropriately addressed.
Well, we transmitted to him directly, and he has responded by scheduling a meeting with the attorney in the white collar division and also with investigators to meet with our office about our findings.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. It's one of our more pleasant budget hearings. I mean, we look forward to the continued work that you're doing and hope you continue to, that your staff continues to stay with you. Like I said, I want to make sure you guys have the sharpest pencils in the government to ensure that the funds that are appropriate on behalf of our people are being properly spent. So we certainly appreciate your continued leadership and support with regards to those issues.
And again, Senator, we want to thank you very much for your championing us last year with a leading edge and also with our budget. The independence of our office is important.
Yes.
And in PASI, which is the Pacific Association of Supreme Audit Agencies, they were very surprised at the amount of money. I mean, the percentage that we got in law. They're very impressed. The only thing that they were concerned about is that we didn't have our own HR. But I kept telling them for, a staff of 12 or 15, or maybe if we can get it up to 18, it just seemed not, a waste to have an HR division within such a small office, especially if we can keep the retention and there not being a
turnover. Right?
Turnover.
Yeah.
There's no need for it. One of my accountability auditor 3s just, I think today, ended a training in Fiji that PASI did for HR champions in the hopes of pushing again the independence of the office to be able to move forward without waiting for any other civil service to do things. But I just don't want a full-time staff, but I do want someone that is at least able to help us move things through. But thank you very much for your assistance. And to my oversight chair, I know that this morning you were asking about the audits, the financial audits, and as long as I'm here, I want to apologize to all of you and to the legislature for the fact that the audits have been delayed. Last year, when Deloitte decided that it was going to close its doors, we had to issue 18 RFPs for new contracts because EY was already doing about 10. Deloitte was doing 18, and so we had to issue 18 RFPs. And we thought we finished everything by October. Yesterday, he brought me 3 contracts to sign that I approved the hiring of EY in November of last year. I'm not sure whether or not it was just an issue of I had previously signed it and did it digitally, and the new AG is now demanding a wet signature, or whether those were just delayed, because I approved the Gov Guam audit and the contents of it, and the negotiations, I thought, that had been completed before Christmas. But it's still not done. The other thing that I want to inform the body is that one of the other delay, besides the fact that EY is just trying to get itself together to deal with 28 audits, is that in all the audits, we've had to make a report on OPEB. And that really should be a process that starts now, if not earlier. Unfortunately, the numbers to the actuary didn't get to the actuary until late last year, and it wasn't until the beginning of this year that the actuary issued their OPEB numbers. EY, in doing its due diligence, sent the numbers up to its EY people in their national office and international office to verify and confirm the OPEB numbers. And they spent the last 3 months, since February, they've been writing back and forth to each other, trying to work out issues that they've had with the OPEB number that was given by the actuary in late February. It still hasn't been resolved. As of last Thursday, I was told that OPEB number still hasn't been resolved. And so that's holding everything up because Gov Guam audit and all the component units of the Gov Guam audit need to have that OPEB number in it. And because of the late transmittal of the census numbers last year, it was delayed. I've spoken to Mr. Byrne about the fact that let's get those numbers into the actuary this month and so that we can have that number before the end of the fiscal year, and we can send it up to the actuary and have the actuary deliver his report to us in November. And then EY and the actuary can do in November, December, because I don't want to be delayed. As he explained to you guys this morning, the Gov Guam audit and all the audits of all the agencies that have bonds require that they issue their audit before June the 27th. And I wanted to get all of those out. And now I'm just pushing them. I've been having status meetings with them and just screaming on the Zoom about the fact that this is unconscionable, but without the OPEB number, it's delayed. The other thing this year is the leases. There's a new requirement of the GASB to report on leases. In anticipation of that, last July, I got APPROPRIATIONS and the graduate school to send out 2 trainers. And I thought we trained all the government accountants and auditors on preparing for the lease number, the Rule 87. Some agencies were ready and some aren't, and so I'm just a little concerned about whether or not those two are going to hold up the audits. I was glad to hear Mr. Burns say that he hopes that it's going to be, that he anticipates the audit being released on or before June 27th. I really hope so, because otherwise we may just have to issue a report that says it is unauditable, and if that goes to the bond market, it'll be hell. And so I'm hoping that everybody works together and that all the government agencies respond. I've been on them about responding to EY and making sure that everything is there save for this fight over OPEB that is outside of their problem, but it's something that we can address for next year. But again, I apologize to the legislature that the financial audits aren't before you and weren't before you since March the 31st, because that was my promise to you last year, and unfortunately I'm not able to fulfill it. Thank you.
Thank you also. I'm sure you'll do your very best to follow up on it. Thank you.
I'm losing my voice screaming at them.
Okay.
Thank you, Senator Brown. Senator Perez, I'd like to recognize Senator Perez who joined us this afternoon. Senator Perez, do you have any questions to the panel?
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon to Public Auditor Cruz and Mr. Dueñas. Thank you for being here. Yeah, when I look at your budget request, it's very reasonable. And in fact, it's less than what you requested last year. So I think it was last year was $200,000 more. So, but I'm glad that I'm sorry, did you have something you wanted to say, Vince?
No, I was just going to say that the budget request that we have is already, it was actually set in law by last fiscal year 2023's budget, and that's what we're going by, the total general fund revenues for, that was submitted by the governor's office. So
Yes.
that's why it's that number, 0.25%.
Yeah, so I'm glad that satisfies your needs. You know, we're very grateful for all the work that you're doing in the public auditor's office. Helping to keep government accountable is so important. And, you know, we definitely, as a legislative body, we have to make sure we close those gaps. And so we're willing partners. Just a curiosity question. In your budget, in your presentation, you asked for carryover from unused funds. Is there an amount that you have?
We'll have to verify that. I will have to verify that, but there is a small amount. I mean, there was, because of the fact that we haven't hired, we have some lapse, and we just need to be able to expend that.
Okay. And do you give bonuses for those that pass the CPA exams? Is that something that your office does?
By law, there's a 15% for the CPA, and then for the other certifications, I believe it's 10% difference.
Okay. Is that something you foresee happening with your staff? Or are they all CPA certified?
As many of them as possible are getting certified, and the ones that are getting that additional benefit.
Okay.
I just want to add that they're not bonuses that are given, because when you use the term, you know, I'm thinking like, oh, you're going to get a cash bonus, right, for passing the CPA, but that's not the case. Actually, like the public auditor was saying, it's already set in law that if there's if you hold a CPA, it is 15%, and then the other certifications, it's the Certified Government Financial Manager, the Certified Fraud Examiner, and the Certified Internal Auditor. You would get 10% added as, I guess, a special pay added onto your base pay. Okay. So that, yeah, but it's not a real bonus like, oh, here's, you know, 10,000 in cash for passing the exam. But no. And I think that was included in previous legislatures as an incentive, right, for the retention. And our agency is not the only one that avails of it. There are other agencies like DOE, DOA. They all have that incentive, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. great. Thank you for that clarification. I know in a couple hearings ago, you mentioned about the market pay plan. Is that something that you're still interested in pursuing?
If the HR division at Department of Administration will put it together, yes, we would love to look at it. Unfortunately, it isn't ready right now, and so it was DOA's determination that we not be left behind, and so we were included in the GPP, 22% increase. And then when and if that market premium pay comes into being, we'll look at it.
Okay, thank you. Just a follow-up question regarding the passage of the GDOE ARPA expedite procedures. Have you been able to put together those regulations or rules?
Yeah, we're going to be able to do that,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, great. Well, follow up with that one. Well, appreciate your time, and thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Barris. On your letter, I'm in support of the continuing exemption from BBMR for your allotment. Okay, so we're going to incorporate that in the budget so that we can take care of you. So you can get your allotment, you can do what you need to do, and hopefully you don't lose your voice as you yell at them and say, hey, give me my stuff so you can do the audit. And I know Mr. Duane is probably the one that's doing the yelling. Then you get yelled by the speaker, and I don't blame him. But that being said, you know, I've always supported the OPA, and I've known the speaker here. Shoot, when he was a judge, he officiated my wedding, so and I've known him way before that, but that's okay. I don't fault him for that. We're that young. But that being said, there's no one else to testify on your budget, and I don't see we need to continue on. Unless you have anything else you wanted to bring up, Speaker, nothing?
We've submitted the answers to those questions that you
Yes,
submitted to us.
and I provided a copy to all my colleagues, so they know the response to the questions that we provide to every agency. Being that there's no one else to testify, again, I want to thank everyone for attending this hearing and for providing feedback and suggestions. The Office of Public Accountability Budget Hearing is now adjourned. The time now is 2:30. And please be safe and have a nice day. Thank you, Speaker. Take care, folks.